All right, what's going on? It's Monday night, time for the Cheap Seats podcast. We're missing our leader Gene tonight. Got some things to take care of, but three of us we got you. But like we did, and we kind of been doing the past couple of weeks. As you jump in the chat and you make your opinions known, you could throw topics in there as well. And we have extra time at the end of the episode. We'll definitely pull one or a couple depending on time and use those to debate for the at the end of the episode. But another weekend down, start of the work week, kind of a rough time for most of us. So sit back, enjoy some barbershop sports debate with my, the homies Brian and Jordan. Start with you, Brian. How you doing? How's it going?
Hey man, so far so good. It's happy Monday. Ready to get to this show.
Yeah, yeah. And Jordan, how you doing, man? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Basketball happened. Lakers got their W against the Mavs.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
it was pretty. They were down 27, so I'm just like,
Took
wow,
10 seconds to get the Lakers this
you
year.
know
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
Gotta
I mean,
love it, man. Gotta love it.
yeah, man. Other than that, I'm doing good, man. Last stretch of basketball in the NBA.
Mhm.
I just heard that my school, Montclair State D3, just made the dance. So that's pretty big. Kind of the first time in a long time. Another D3 Montclair State. I want to put them on the map real quick. They lost to Stockton, but they thought they were going to make it in, but they had their little Sunday show review, whatever.
Mhm.
And they got in. So I'm not sure if it's like the big things for like people, the big teams come. I think it's their D3, kind of like their.
Yeah, that
I'm
I
not sure how
mean,
that D3 works. I'm not sure how they incorporate the smaller
because
schools
most
in.
people know NCAA, they know
Because
NIT,
my friend said Rutgers
and
got
then
in
after
too,
that,
but that's like their Big Ten, so it's like it's not a big. I mean, they were in last year, so it's like they're not D3 though, so they're D1. So, but
yeah, I don't know.
Montclair's
I don't,
D3.
I don't know how that works like that. Because
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah,
But
but I mean, shout out to your school. Anytime you can make a little postseason tournament, that's always a good thing. And but yeah, so we got a lot of topics to get through. You know, we might as well not waste much time. Go ahead and get into these. I think we'll start with you, Jordan, because you have a nice little interesting opening one that we could go with. So, what's your topic?
well, I think you should go first, Kyle, because you had your list. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, all
That's
right,
the longest.
all right. I tried to pass it off. You threw it back. I'm gonna
I
take
do.
the shot on this one. All right, so for me, looking at the NBA, I wanted to know who you guys have as the top five coaches in the NBA currently. So, we're talking about current coaches. Who's your top five? I guess to go with everything, I guess I'll go on my list first. Now, I did exclude Popovich. I know that's blasphemous only because past couple of years in San Antonio has been a little rough. But Popovich is kind of on his own little tier anyway. We know his greatness. So for me, I went with Steve Kerr number one. I mean, with the success in Golden State, you know. All right, Jordan, go ahead.
No. Because I was looking at Freddie's list too. He said Greg Pop, Steve Kerr, Spoelstra. Steve Kerr. I mean, like, yes, Kerr. I'm talking about what this season or like modern day. Because if
I'm
Active
early.
talking.
coach.
Yeah, I'm talking about active coaches.
Actively coaching in the
Oh, okay.
NBA.
I thought you meant like as a coach, like in the current like NBA season today. Like, because I was like,
Uh,
Kerr, their records like kind of like subpar. So it's like, but if you're talking about like the current,
yeah,
modern day.
they're
Yeah. Okay.
currently
Never mind.
coaching the team.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right.
So I got because like I said, Popovich is on his own tier. Everybody would throw him. So I just went five other guys.
Okay.
So I
Yeah, I
got
didn't know if
Kerr.
they were like their seasons this
Yeah,
year's
yeah, no,
coach.
no, I understand. I
That's
understand.
why I didn't see Mazul was on there. I was like, why isn't he on there? That's why I was confused. Okay.
Yeah. So I got Kerr. Then I went Spolstra two. Even though I think Spolstra he might be a little bit underrated to be honest with you, with his ability to get the Heat. They seem to always be in the conversation once the playoffs hit, no matter how up and down their regular season's been. Three. Actually, look at my list real quick. So I have Ty Lue third. you know, what he's been doing with the Clippers, with all of their injuries and all that, he's kept them afloat. They're in the top 6. But even the Cavs days, I mean, he may not have gotten a lot of credit for the Cavs because of LeBron and all that, but he was a good coach then, and I feel like he's showing now with the Clippers that he's one of those guys. I got Mike Malone out of Denver. I feel like he's another guy who I don't know gets a lot of credit, maybe because maybe not a lot of people know who he is, but he struggled a little bit when he coached in Sacramento, but since he's gotten to Denver, they've been a top tier team in the West. So I had to give him some love. And then 5 might be my surprise, but I went with Monty Williams. A lot of people might only think about him in Phoenix, but if you remember, he had some good teams in New Orleans, which is kind of why he ended up getting the Phoenix job. But I feel like, he just has an energy about him that teams really gravitate towards. And I feel like he gets pretty good production out of his teams. And like I said, I know there's a glaring omission from there. And all right, so Gene chimed in actually, so let me put his list up there. Kerr, Spo, Malone, Monty, and Quinn Snyder.
Interesting for Quinn Snyder. He's all right. For
I
Utah,
mean,
what do you think, Utah?
Quinn Snyder was good in Utah.
Yep. So
Okay, I pick
Snyder's
Willie.
back in there. He's back now because he's
Yeah,
coaching in Atlanta.
I
So
pick
yeah.
Willie.
So
I mean, I pick
Quinn,
Willie Green
Quinn Snyder
over.
counts.
I mean, I pick Willie Green over Quinn Snyder for what he did. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
but
But
I mean,
but yeah, Gene, you can use Quinn Snyder, so I'll use your original list. But Jordan, you can go ahead and go next.
sorry about the background noise. My dude, brother doing the Peloton or his workout. But
Mm-hmm.
number 1, I'm gonna go Steve Kerr. Number 2, I'm gonna go with. I mean, would you put Ime for what he did last year with like the? I guess he's not current,
He's currently not an active coach,
but
so
still
I
he
would
was.
say,
Damn, that's a hard one.
yeah.
Because he did turn that Celtics team around, like brought him in the playoffs and against the Warriors. So, damn, that's hard. Fine, man. So 1, I have Steve Kerr.
mm-hmm.
2, I got Budenholzer with the Bucks. 3, I got Spo.
Okay.
4, I got Ty Lue. And then 5, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna have to go just seeing you're just saying 5 Kyle Monty Williams with the way he turned that Suns team around. Because prior to when the Suns always were kind of like that lower tier team, and now they're in the top 2, top 3 in the NBA right now, like in the West. So it's like even with the injuries he had with Chris Paul, like being out of lineup and then out, and Booker being out of lineup, he has kind of like in dealing with the whole Ayton issue and the whole of him, that story of him like playing video games at midnight and him not going to practice. He's dealt with that. I mean, I don't know if that's true, that report, but they're saying he wasn't getting enough sleep and wasn't lousy at practice. But no, he's kind of like kind of turned that team around in the locker room. So yeah, he's turned that Phoenix team into a contender.
Okay. All right, Brian, who we got? And then we'll dissect each other's list.
Yeah. All right. So mine, I don't necessarily have in order. So I got Kerr on my list. We already know why. I also have Malone. So after I got those 2 out of the way, then it became a little iffy because there's some other guys like Pop that I like real career wise. I love Pop, but the last couple of years team been a little iffy. So I don't know if I can put him on my list or not.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I'm still stuck at 2. So then I went Doc Rivers. Now Doc is constantly getting the team to the playoffs, but it's like, what more have they done? Even since the Celtics got that 1 ring, that was it. But then you get to Philly, all that talent they had, and it's like still can't get over the hump.
Right.
So then I started looking at guys like Willie Green, Jason Kidd. So man, like I said, it's difficult for me. So I'm just gonna throw out my 5: Kerr, Malone. I'm gonna go ahead and put Popovich back on there. Man, Spoelstra.
Okay.
And round out my 5 with Doc.
Okay.
I'm not a Budenhauser fan because he was in Atlanta,
I'm not either.
and saw what he did when he was in Atlanta with the team that he had. And as soon as he got up out of there and ran to Milwaukee and magically get Greek Freak and Middleton, he can win the playoff series and a title. Yay! I don't give him credit for none of that because I saw what he. I'm looking at what he did in Atlanta. Then as soon as we get another coach in there, we get to the playoffs and do a little bit better. But yeah, I can't with Budenhauser. But that's my five.
All right.
So
All
Gene,
right.
yes, I do know Willie Green, coach for the Pelicans, man. Come on, I think I'm
Yeah,
an
so
idiot, man.
Boonholz is a guy I wouldn't put on there. I mean, Doc, like you brought him up. I feel like since that Celtics, run where he won the title, he ran from Boston because he didn't want to deal with the rebuild.
Yeah.
Went out to, I guess, LA, where didn't really work out, and the Celtics actually rebuilt and got further than his Clippers teams did. And then now in Philly, it seems like most Philly fans, I mean, Gene's one of them. I mean, you're getting it right there. Doc Rivers sucks. Fire Doc. Doc sucks. Like, Sixers fans are over him. And I get it because he kind of plays. It's kind of frustrating to watch his rotation sometimes because he'll make substitutions. He'll kind of leave guys on the bench a little too long. I mean, that Celtics Philly game kind of wasn't exactly the best look for him. I mean, they were up 15 in the third quarter, lost that lead, ended up being down by 10, fought back, took a lead late in the fourth, only to lose it at the end. So, I mean,
But that's one of the things with basketball where I kind of look at coaching like, how much can I blame the coach if the player ain't hitting the shot? You know what I mean? Or if the player's
mm,
not playing defense. Yeah, some of it still falls on the coach because you're supposed to be leading the guys. Got
right.
it. But if I give you the perfect play, if I give you the perfect scenario, situation, everything, and you still get out there and jack it up, it's like, what more can I do? But I mean, I feel you. I understand Gene with, with his hate for Doc, because just, I mean, that's almost like my hate for Budenhauser. So I understand it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was gonna say Doc Rivers because, like, back in the day when with the Celtics, because he still, I mean, but like Brian said, it's like after those, after that, that Garnett, that Ray Allen, that Rajon Rondo prime Rondo era, it was like, other than that, it's like, then again, like he had Doc Rivers had to deal with Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
That was a big hole that they had to work around. I mean, Dave, I feel like Philly has I feel like Philly has been there, like, to the, like, they're on the cusp of like making something like a big push, but it's like Embiid and Harden can do them all themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they need other outside. I know they got Tobias
Most
Harris.
most nights it's Embiid by himself.
Yeah,
That
so it's
Celtics
like
game,
that's where it's
Embiid
like,
Embiid was the only player who played well for Philly. I know Harden put up
and
20
like if
plus,
Embiid
but
go and I don't want to wish like an injury on nobody, but if Embiid goes down, like they're not gonna get that far.
all right, so
With
Gene
PJ Tucker missing
says they
corner
have the
threes.
best player in the league and haven't hit the second round.
What are you talking
Well,
about,
haven't
Embiid?
haven't won in the second round. Yeah, someone
Yeah.
Embiid. Yeah, I mean
Man, what was
that's
that?
true.
What was that movie that came out with Adam Sandler on Netflix? It was a basketball movie. That's the only chance that they'll get winning a championship is that movie, man. When they had all the stars in that movie, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the
Which
whole
I
main
mean,
star was Juan Gomez, whatever that.
mhm,
That's that movie. I
yeah.
mean, I forgot what it was, but he was a manager of like
I'm, I'm
like the
I'm trying to
76ers.
think of the name too.
Yeah, I didn't
So
watch it.
they
'Cause I,
passed
I, I
on.
thought it was going to be trash. So I was like, nah, I'm not watching that.
Actually, it's pretty good. I liked it, but that's the only shot they'll have of getting the championship, and that was in that movie. Like, sorry, Gene.
Good front. I mean the I mean, you don't have to remind Sixers fans. There's a lot of moves that they made that were questionable. The
Yeah,
Okafor
see,
move,
but
Nerlens Noel. Um, taking
Well,
Fultz
now,
over Tatum. You know, a lot of them.
yeah. And that's why I'm starting. So was Doc was he in charge of the picks? Because if it's a GM, if he's acting as GM, then yeah, you do have to play the blame on him and be like, well, if you screwing up the personnel, you can't blame it on front office because you are the front office. So it's like you, that's like the cook who getting mad because y'all brought in some terrible food options. It's like, well, you went and bought the food.
Wait, wasn't the former GM of the Rockets the owner now of the Sixers?
Maury.
Maury, yeah. So I don't think Doc
Yeah.
needs to. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
he has some power. I don't know.
I mean, he probably has some say. Maybe I don't know, but I think a lot of it is Doc's like his offensive philosophy. A lot of ISO ball, and a lot of times late in the games you get it's either Harden or Embiid with the ball. And for me, I'm a big Maxi guy. I feel like Maxi should probably overtake Harden in terms of options on that team. But once again, looking at that Celtics game, it seemed like Maxi was kind of hesitant to really do stuff because he didn't know kind of like when to assert himself. Because when you have Harden out there, you're paying him money to be the number 2 guy. But
Big
as we've
money.
seen, Harden's slow down. I mean, if you didn't know about it, that breakaway when Jaylen Brown had it and Harden tried to chase him, he looked real slow on that one. But I mean, Phillies has all the talent in the world to make noise in the East. It's just they always fall short. And I don't know it's whether the Celtics do make it tough on Embiid, but you can kind of work your way around that. If the Celtics have a perimeter team, if you want to give Embiid a few minutes off, fine. Because late in the game, defensively, he sags in the lane and he gets stuck, and that's when Horford hit those 5 threes. So that's something you could put on the coach, like make an adjustment, and they just never did. So I'm sure that's why Gene probably has him in the bottom 5. But I mean, yeah, coaching in the NBA, it's tough because a lot of people like Nick Nurse as well. I'm not a Nick Nurse guy at all, but
No.
a lot of people do like him in terms of like basketball media and all that. I just can't stand his antics, and I feel like Toronto, outside of that Kawhi year, I mean,
That's it.
what have they really done?
That's it. Nothing else.
So yeah, so I don't know about all that. But Quinn Snyder, I'm interested to see what he does in Atlanta for sure.
Yeah.
If he ends up losing his job there, that Atlanta job might look like where coaches go to die.
Yeah, until they get Trey Young out, once you get somebody else in there that's supposed to be the face of your franchise or your star, something else might change. But until that happens, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I guess we go to the next one. I guess Brian, since yours was actually coach related,
Yep.
we might as well just shift to that one and go with Jordan's third. So
yeah, so that rolls right into mine. And my topic or question is, can a coach be all-time great without winning a championship? Because if you think about, we've done our player list and we talked about different players, Marino, Charles Barkley. We look at them they are Hall of Famers, and we look at them as all-time greats. And they have not won a championship. But I've never heard of a coach be mentioned in all-time great status that I can think of, and that coach not win a championship. So, in your perspective, in your opinion, do you think they can? See, for me, I'm gonna say it because I was thinking about it. Everybody that I thought of as a great, or what I would say it was a great or all-time great head coach, they've all won a championship. So I can't think of anybody that I would put in all-time great status or anything like that has not won a championship.
Okay. I mean, Jordan, you can go ahead and jump in.
I guess it depends on like the players they have on the team at that given time. It definitely depends on like the winning record or like season and playoff record. Like for instance, right? Mike Malone, coach of the Nuggets, right?
Mhm.
Jokic possibly winning the third MVP, Murray and Porter. I mean, any team, when it comes to NFL and NBA playoffs, anything can happen in the playoffs. Like they can. I'm not saying. I mean, they could lose the finals, right? But you think Malone's, he still should be up there, as not one of the all-time greats as right now, but like it's an example of how a regular season uh record and a playoff record should matter. Um, they could get bounced out, but I mean that record could kind of still backs up his like resume. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm not sure what his record is as a coach, Mike Malone's record, but yeah, I
I
think it depends on the
believe
I know he's positive. He has to be positive
Mhm.
as far as
Yeah, but would you
uh,
think of Mike Malone as an all-time great
no. Well, I
coach?
wouldn't think.
right.
I mean, he
It's,
can potentially get up to that level, but it's
see,
gonna
I'm gonna give you an example.
big is
Like Don Nelson. I don't think Don Nelson ever won a championship, but
No.
when you think of but do we whenever we talk about Hall of Fame all-time great coaches, you really don't. If some people might mention his name, but because he doesn't have that championship, you really don't. I don't hear Don Nelson's name talked about, even though he's
right.
been around for a while and he
Hmm.
won a ton of games. He doesn't have a championship under his belt.
Yeah,
So do you like Don Nelson or go NFL? And that's another one that he's won a bunch of games, got to the Super Bowl. Ron Rivera, he hadn't won a championship, but some people like he still got a job now with the Commanders. I don't know how he still got that job because I don't think he's that good of a coach, but
All right. Yeah.
he's been able to stay around and coach for 15, almost 20 years or something like that. It's like, bro, I guess they think of him as an all-time great, but I don't.
Hmm.
But that's
uh,
just like I said, yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah. As in terms of like NBA and NFL, like we talk about, NBA more is like Phil Jackson, Popovich, like those all time greats. I don't know. I think you have to have like the
well, even
first have
Jerry
to start with
Sloan.
the
You
yeah.
look at
I
Jerry
was about to
Sloan.
say Jerry Sloan is a guy who he made a finals, made
Yeah,
two of them, I believe.
two. Yep,
Lost to the
lost to
great
Jordan.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And if you look at those Jazz teams, they were like the model of consistency in the NBA. They
Hmm.
were constantly about 60 wins a year. They were usually had deep runs into the playoffs, whether it was Western Conference Finals or, like I said, those 2 years they made the actual finals. I mean, I would probably consider him an all-time great because of that consistency that he had, even though he could never get over the hump and actually win a title. So I think it can be done, because there's actually other guys I thought about. I thought about George Karl.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say him too. Yeah,
Yeah, he had those great Seattle teams. Then he went on to those Denver teams when they
the
had,
Carmelo.
Melo,
Hmm.
Billups, where they were definitely good enough to win one. They just never did. So I think it's possible. And you can even look at college as well. Mark Few,
See, I
Gonzaga.
was thinking about it more about college than professional, but yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Bob Huggins. He had great
yeah.
Cincinnati teams, great West Virginia teams. He's been to a couple Final Fours. He's never won it. And NFL guy, Marv Levy. They went to 4 straight Super
Oh
Bowls.
yeah.
I mean, that's tough for any coach to do, even though they never won it.
Mhm.
And those Bills teams were pretty good. So I think it is possible. You just have to have kind of a consistent run where you're kind of in the conversation at least. If you're a coach and your team's like one and done, it's kind of tough. But if you have some deep runs in there, I could be like, all right, so certain circumstance, like you went up against maybe a really stacked team or you got an injury or something this year, I could be like, yeah, that you couldn't overcome, but you're still a great coach.
So would you put D'Antoni on that list then?
Nah.
Okay.
I I don't know, because D'Antoni and Nelson are kind of similar.
Hmm.
I don't know. D'Antoni is an interesting one. Would you have him as a great Jordan, D'Antoni?
Uh, think when he was in his early years, I mean, I feel like when he was when he was with the Suns, um, he had those a couple of those runs, but he never really got to the Holy Grail. But I would actually consider him. I don't think he'd be a lot, but he can definitely be in that conversation. That's like all time. But like I say, it all depends. Like you said, flow, how often you get to the playoffs, like you have to be, not necessarily a fan favorite, but a coach
Yeah,
that
he was going on
that
cool.
like a coach that is or should be respectful or respected. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would consider D'Antoni as on that list, but it's like
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't put D'Antoni on my list, but I
it's
know
tricky.
a bunch of people would bring up D'Antoni's name just simply because of the runs he's had.
Yeah.
And I look at the runs he's had as the reason why I would not put him as an all-time great because you had, I think he was on that with Steve Nash had the two back-to-back MVPs and got boat raced out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted, so when we went back to the coaching list that we just did, we were dropping people off like Doc and saying trash, garbage, everything else because he couldn't get nothing done in the playoffs. But then
Mm-hmm.
D'Antoni keep getting chances, and it's like, damn, bro, what you gonna do with that?
So I feel like for D'Antoni, like if you're a Don Nelson guy, then maybe you would throw D'Antoni. But even with Don Nelson, I feel like Nelson had some good years with the Warriors. He had good years with Dallas, and I can't remember anywhere else. But I just feel like there's something different between Nelson and D'Antoni, even though they are somewhat similar. But I agree with you. D'Antoni seems like a regular season guy, but then you get to the playoffs, and then
Hmm.
his teams are like so finesse and wide open that they went up against a lot of teams that played a little bit more physical, and it seemed like they just couldn't handle that. Whereas Don Nelson, I feel like had good squads that were pretty well balanced. It's just I don't know. Oh man, D'Antoni's an interesting one to put
Yeah,
because I'm not a big D'Antoni guy, but
nope.
I mean he's innovated offensively. Could care less about defense, and that's probably why I'm not that big on him. But
Mhm. Yeah, it's
See
oh
that?
me.
man, that's interesting.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking at coaches who haven't won like a championship, top 25, and like me being Yankees fan, Aaron Boone. I mean, I know he has a he's. I wouldn't say he's like as wait before you say anything. I know he's not considered at like on that list of like all time great coaches, but like that
Mm-hmm.
type of like players having a coach having a team, a championship high
What's
caliber
up,
team,
Jonathan?
and not getting to to that. I mean, they've been close. I would say the closest year was 2017 with the Astros. That was their closest shot of getting to the World Series, but we all know what happened with that. But as far as like personnel, like he had that team. So I mean, if he would have won a world title, would he be like not up there, but would he be talked about as maybe he didn't need to win more
Yeah,
championships to like prove that? But
I
it's
feel
like
like as a manager of the Yankees, he would need multiple
wait,
because
well, that's what I'm saying to like
as
be
a
up there.
Yankees manager, you're always going to be you're going to measured up to Joe Torre or I don't know, back in the day, like Billy Martin or
Mhm.
something. I don't know Yankee history like that, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying like for Boone, if he just wins one, I feel like fans will be like, okay, we need two
Right.
or three. Like you
Yeah.
got high
yeah,
payroll, you have Judge, Stan, and these guys. Like you got to get it done more often.
right,
Well, I
right.
guess just a reset for cool Jonathan who just hopped in the chat. Discussing. Well, first topic was top 5 coaches in the NBA today. So if you guys want to answer in the chat, definitely throw that in there. But now we're talking about can you be an all-time great coach without actually winning a championship? We threw out some names like Don Nelson, D'Antoni, Jerry Sloan, George Karl, college-wise Mark Few, Bobby Huggins, and Marv Levy for the NFL. So let us know what you think as well. But yeah, so I'm trying to see what we're talking about. What D'Antoni still?
Yeah,
Yeah.
D'Antoni.
Yeah,
Well,
he.
another coach that I thought about, but this was college football because you got a
Mhm.
couple of them there. Like, I don't know if Stoops actually won a championship while he was in Oklahoma. Because I
I
think he got to the championship game and lost a couple of them.
For some reason, I feel like Bob Stoops has one. So Anthony says that's like saying, do you need a ring to be in the Hall of Fame?
Nah, because you got, if you think of Marv Levy and the rest of those guys are in the Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a championship.
Yeah.
So you can get into the Hall of Fame without winning a championship as a coach, especially in basketball.
All right, so Cool says, I feel like if you get there and lose, you can, but I feel like you have to at least make it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I could agree with that as well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. What Cool said.
Yeah.
That's like saying, do you need a ring to be in the Hall of Fame? That's true. Anthony, you have a point there too.
But that, I mean, Hall of Fames, each sport's different. Like the Basketball Hall of Fame, you can get in that for your college, resume, even if your NBA resume doesn't look all that great. But if you look at the NFL Hall of Fame, like that's strictly your NFL career.
Yeah.
Baseball Hall of Fame, you're dealing with some writers who, try to be all, sit on their soapbox and keep certain guys out. I mean, I don't even know about Hockey Hall of Fame and all that, but each Hall of Fame is a little different. There's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame that don't necessarily have rings, but they're still seen as great because of, maybe the situation that they were in. Because Charles Barkley's in. The joke about him is he never won it, but he was on great teams.
We tend to talk more about the player getting into the Hall of Fame without the ring. Not necessarily. I don't hear a lot of coaches that get into the Hall of Fame without having a ring.
That's a good one. Well, I mean, Jerry Sloan, I feel like goes against. I think a lot of people talk about Jerry Sloan, but though, I mean, those Utah teams were just, when you think of the '90s, you think Bulls, you think Jazz, Houston, Seattle. So at least they were like mentioned there, and then that goes, oh yeah, Jerry Sloan, and he was there for so long that, like I said, he just made it seem like organization-wise, Utah's what you wanted to be. Coach who was there had a system established and still won. It was whether or not it would work in the playoffs or not, but I don't know. I think Jerry Sloan's probably the best of the group who never won one, but I think is more likely an all-time great than the other ones we talked about.
So like Jim, is it Jim Harbaugh? Which one left the NFL and went to Michigan?
Yeah, that was Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, that's Jim.
See, like with him, it's going to be tricky and odd with him because he didn't win as a coach in the pros, went to college, still hadn't won one there.
He didn't make it to the Super Bowl though that one year.
He made it to the Super Bowl, but he didn't win.
Right. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So it's
didn't
like,
he have a record? I thought he had a winning record with the Niners though.
He's always had a winning record.
As an NFL coach. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Would we consider him an all-time great coach, even though he has not won a championship, neither NFL or pro? Or college.
I mean, I wouldn't, and I think his situation is a little different because I think to a lot of people he's kind of underachieved a little in Michigan,
right?
Which I don't know, maybe that's hurt him from, because when he left San Francisco, he was like the guy that everybody wanted. It kind of seems like since he's been in Michigan, his name's kind of been falling further and further away from these coaching jobs. So
yeah, but look at what he did. Because if you look at what he did at Stanford before he even got to San Francisco, that's the reason why he got that San Fran job. He was a hot coach then. So, like I said, that's a tricky one right there. Yeah. And I want to see how that plays out.
Like a point to like Cole's comment, like Steve Kerr, right? He's listed as probably going to be listed as one of the all-time greats because he's made that team go to the finals. He lost some finals, but he won some too. So it's like, so that's why we consider him, and that's Cole's point where it's like at least if you aren't a good coach, but you can turn your team around and get into the playoff once, maybe a series or two. Yeah, I mean that's where it's. I think playoff wins and playoff series wins helps a coach make it into the Hall of Fame category without a championship, because that means you have trust in you and your players that okay, your team might not be a top 5, top 10 team, But if you can get your team into the playoffs every year, or every once in a while, like, then okay, we have to trust you. We can, you maybe one superstar to take your team around or to help you, like like. But I don't know. But that one year when KD went, like they didn't need KD to get him that championship. So they already had Curry, Clay, Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
They just added another. I mean, that's not on Curry. That's not Curry. That's not Curry's fault. But I'm saying it's like, yeah,
Well, I mean, you can still be a great coach with a lot of great players because
right. Oh yeah, I'm not
Phil
Phil
saying
Jackson gets a lot of credit for
Jordan.
dealing
Yep.
with Rodman's personality, mixing that in with the team,
Mhm.
and then he dealt with, Shaq and Kobe, which I mean, we all saw how that relationship went
Yeah.
south
So
real quick.
so I guess
Yeah.
my question. So me, you both put Monty Williams in our top five, right?
Yes.
So for instance, so they added KD, right? They already have. I mean, okay, like maybe almost out of the league. Chris Paul. I think he has a
Mhm.
couple more years left in him. Young Devin Booker. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, them adding KD. Okay, if they make a finals push and get to the finals, is Monty going to be listed as the all-time great or one of the all-time greats because they
No.
added a superstar? So that's what I'm saying. Like when you add players to a team, it's like that you're already like in the playoff mix. You're just making
Mhm.
them better. You know what I'm saying? It's like
But the difference with that one is they hadn't won a championship yet. So even if you add
right.
KD,
Right.
you still needed to add a player in order to win a championship. So
Yeah, it's a little different.
yeah,
All right.
that's
So,
different than that Kerr
yeah.
situation.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So, what about Quinn Snyder? Yeah. Gene had his list, and he put Quinn Snyder on there. I'll put Gene's list back up real quick. Yeah. So Gene had Kerr, Spo, Malone, Monty, and Quinn Snyder.
That's not a bad list at all.
Yeah.
See, but I got another coach that I want y'all to think about because I think he's gonna have that Andy Reid trajectory,
I'm not a coach that I know, but
and that's Shanahan,
oh,
Kyle
Shanahan.
Shanahan.
Hmm.
Because looking at what he's done so far, he's reminded me a lot of Andy Reid when he was in Philly.
Okay.
How winning, winning, winning. You got the records, you got all the regular season stuff, but
Right.
once it got to we talk about once we got to the Super Bowl or playoff time, somehow, some way, the team folds and everybody's looking like, okay, when is he gonna actually win it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if because if he does not ever actually win a championship, would we still hold Kyle Shanahan in high regard like we do now, and like how Andy Reid was up until a couple of years ago when he finally got over the hump and won one in Kansas City?
Uh, I mean, I definitely agree that Shanahan needs to win a Super Bowl because right now, the lasting image of Shanahan, no matter what he does, will always be 28-3.
Yeah,
That's what everybody's going to bring up because he was the coordinator for that team. Where first half their offense looked great, then when they needed it the most, they folded.
yep.
And so yeah, if he wins one, you can kind of wipe that away because at that point that's the past. He learned from that. But until he actually does it, you'll just say 20-3 is still in the back of his mind if he can't get past that hump.
But he had that. But he had all he has had all that talent.
Mm-hmm.
He had Debo Samuel for all. He still has them. The defense has still been good, and like I mean it sucks. I mean they were maybe a healthy quarterback away, maybe like starting quarterback away from like making a big push. I mean
But
you can't
that's
really
the
help injuries.
thing. But see, but even if you look at that, that's the thing where it wasn't even having a healthy quarterback. That was your third and fourth different quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
So is it and see, so if you've gone through four quarterbacks in the season, is it on coaching? Because what's going on to where you can't keep a quarterback healthy? And it's not like he fell down the steps and twisted his ankle and did something. No, they're getting hurt because a block was missed or whatever the case may be, and your guy goes down in
Mm-hmm.
game.
Yeah.
So some of that is like, okay, is that scheme? Is that what's going on? Or because if that's just bad luck, then bro, I don't. I don't ever want to be next to you while we're gambling because I don't want none of that rubbing off on me.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that NFC game, a lot of that was scheme as well because remember they had the like backup tight end trying to block. I think it was Reddick, and Reddick was just
Yeah,
burning them, and they just never went away from that. So I feel
yeah,
like that falls on Shanahan as well. Uh, I mean, you kind of answered Anthony on this one. Yeah, we talked about Mike
yeah. We
D'Antoni.
talked
We
about that,
said
Tony.
he's tricky because if you look at Don Nelson and D'Antoni types, yeah, they were known for their offenses, not necessarily defenses, and especially D'Antoni had like a great regular season record, but his team seemed to fall short come the playoffs. So yeah, I don't know if I would call him an all-time great. I think Brian agreed, and then I think Jordan, you were kind of the same, like D'Antoni. Yeah, you never know.
It's like, I don't know, like 50-50.
Yeah. Let me see.
Watching your
Okay,
fellas.
so Anthony's kind of just talking to cool Mac, who's lost the Super Bowl. O line needs to be better.
Yeah,
Okay. You can tell, Cool's the Eagles fan. And David, what's going on, David? I know I've seen you in the chat on a few shows.
How you doing,
To Renegade
David?
lost in the XFL. All right. I mean, so I guess
see,
David,
the
you
XFL
big
has
fan
been
of XFL?
interesting because
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching some of it. Now, some of the teams was like they're on it. Like I thought DC played a lot better than what I thought that they were. But then looking at, I think they got like Greg Williams as I don't know if he's a head coach or D coordinator, and he got them boys playing. But then you got a couple of those other teams where I'm like, damn, did y'all practice? Do y'all know the plays? It was a little iffy on some of those. Like it was some boat races on. What I think yesterday, a couple of the games kind of started getting out of hand. I was like, all right, where's the mercy rule on this? Because it just looked bad. And the one thing that I love about the XFL is having everybody mic'd up to where
Mm-hmm.
they were doing like the sideline with I think it was Orlando's coach, and he just looked like he was dejected, bro. He was like, "What are y'all doing? How you jumping outside and you was right over the ball?" And it was, I love just hearing it because
Yeah.
he's saying everything that I'm thinking at home. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So the real experience of a coach is they are saying the exact same thing that we're saying when we were sitting at home watching. Because he was through with it. He was like, "I don't know what y'all doing out here."
I mean, for any viewer, I feel like that, those interactions fans love. Like when they mic up NBA players, whatever, you like to hear what they might say in a huddle or what they say to an opposing player, stuff like that. I mean, look at the All-Star weekend when they had Alvarado mic'd up. He became like a star from that because
Yeah.
he was talking over to his players, he was talking to the opponents, he was answering questions from, the commentary team while playing. Yeah, you always love that.
Yeah, but I mean, but before I ask my question, I just wanted to so the viewers can have time to, since we don't have our fourth person, Gene's not here, we're gonna open up the question for one more question for just a filler. So since from the time I start my question and we can discuss it, and y'all can have a question for us. If Cool still watched, or David or Anthony have a question for us, the big question, let us know. I'm pretty sure Brett was here in the chat who have a question, but okay. So my question is more MLB related, baseball. The new rule changes. I think there's 3 so far that I know, which was the bigger bases, which causes less, I guess, foot injuries, less ankle injuries from people stepping on each other's foot. The bases a little bigger. I think the defensive switches. No defensive switches. The infielders have to, I think, stay planted on the dirt.
No shift.
No shift. So you have to have 2 guys on each side of second base. Where last year you having, 2 on the infield. They were putting a third guy like in short right or short left.
Gotcha.
Now you have to be on the dirt, 2 on each side of the base. Yeah.
Yeah, and the third one was the pitch clock, which is where I think, like Kyle said, it's a 20 seconds if a base runner's on base, and then 15 seconds if no one's on base. Which I've been watching. I've been watching spring training. It reminds me of like the NBA. I thought like the shot clock is. You know what I'm saying? Is how office they need to like put a ball up in like what 20, like 14 seconds, I think, shot clock.
Oh, NBA, yeah, you get 24, but you get
20
14 on offensive rebound.
offensive rebound, right. So it kind of speeds up the game. So I guess my question to the panel and I guess to our viewers, what's your rule do you like more, and what do you think that the whole pitch clock and the whole like, I guess the pitch clock helps with MLB's pace of game? For me, I mean, being a Yankee or being a baseball fan, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm gonna say that. Me being a
I
baseball
mean,
fan.
try to hide that. I mean, baseball fan. You a Yankee fan? Just let
Yeah, I
people
mean,
know.
I'm a Yankee fan. But I'm a baseball fan in general, and like me being a diehard baseball fan. I mean, I like the pitch clock. It kind of like like taste. Not say Ty said in the group chat earlier that it kind of benefits both the pitcher and the batter. Where if the pitcher can't, they have a little routine where they, before they throw the ball, they have their little. They take their time. Like who's that pitcher on the Yankees? Like Nestor Cortez, he does that so much time on the mound. So I mean, if they don't make the time, then it's an automatic ball for the batter. But if the batter is like fixing the glove, hitting his bat and like, getting prepared, then it's a strikeout. And we saw that with Machado. But so I mean, I like it. Me being a baseball fan, going to games in person, I'm interested to see what that pitch clock would look live. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure players are gonna have arguments here and there, but I feel like once the players get used to it and get accustomed to the rule, um, like Ty said, I think it's gonna be beneficial for the league as a whole. So my question to y'all is, and everyone is watching, is like, which rule do you think that is most like beneficial in the rule that you like? And then kind of a two-part, like, which do you think the pitch clock kind of like speed the game up a little bit for pace? Because like you said, like nobody wants to go to a plus 4+ hour baseball game unless it's like an intriguing game. So I guess we can
I can go because mine's gonna be really quick. It's the pitch count because if it's a 4-hour game, I want it to be 4 hours because everybody getting hits. We got double plays. It's action packed 4 hours. I don't need to be at a 4-hour game because after every pitch, you taking a minute to readjust your gloves, grab your crotch, figure out, do you like your shoes? Are they everything still tied? Yeah, they're still tied. Let me kick some dirt again. And okay, now I think I'm ready to think about swinging my bat. I don't need all that, man.
Or like some gum in my mouth, or some baseball chew in my mouth before I go to bed.
It's just, I mean, after every single pitch, and see, and the thing that gets me is, it's not even like they're doing that because they swung. It was a ball. You didn't swing. Now you got to readjust your gloves again and go through your whole routine. It's like, come on, man, let's speed it up.
Yeah, I would say for a better though, like if he does like, so it's like you said, it's 15 seconds with nobody on
15
base, right?
seconds with nobody on
So
base. 20 if there's a guy.
if a player is like fixing his gloves and like if he gets in the box with like 8 seconds left, that means the batter has to get prepared. And the pitcher has to get prepared. So I'm gonna see, that's gonna be interesting to see like in those 8 seconds with the pitcher getting ready to the ball.
You
like,
never swung your bat. You
no,
didn't
I'm
make
saying
contact.
just like I want to see that like the 8
happened.
seconds.
You should not have to
Yeah, I
readjust
know.
everything. You getting dressed again, and
I
you
agree,
ain't
I
getting
agree.
nothing. You ain't even stepped foot out the door to go to the club yet. There's no reason to get dressed again. You hadn't sweated. You ain't broke no sweat. You ain't did nothing. Why are you readjusting everything, bro?
I think batters get like one timeout per at bat, so it's like, I think,
And
like, isn't that how it always was though?
no, you had some batters who call time, they get back in. If they're waiting long, they take time again. So they're ending that part of it.
Oh, okay.
And the answer, David, I mean, you're allowed to pick off. I believe you're allowed to throw 2 pick off, throws over the first or whatever. I think if you try a third time and you don't pick him off, I believe the guy goes the second. Don't quote me on that one, but they'll still be pick off attempts.
Well,
I'm kind of along the
David,
lines of
um, you said that
this
the
one.
clocks are dumb. Well, I want to go to the first. I mean, I don't think. At first, I thought it was stupid. But then again, it's like it's about pace. You know what I'm saying? For viewership
Mm-hmm.
on that end. And then that comment. Think the clocks are dumb. I mean, they're like Aaron Judge. Like he had the clock and he got a base hit. You know what I'm saying? Off of that in spring training. I mean, so I think we're gonna see more offense. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. That's what they're testing in the spring
I don't
training.
even think the thing is about offense. It's just less periods of inactivity.
Right.
That's what baseball. Because if we still have pitching, gems where it's like 1-0, but it's just constantly, batter in, swing, miss, sit down. Next guy comes in, swing, miss, swing, miss. People are like, okay, at least something's happening. It's the moments where, pitcher looks in, he shakes off like 6 different pitches, then he steps off the rubber. The catcher stands up like, come on, throw the pitch. He kneels down, shakes off 6 more pitches. Now the catcher's going out to talk to the pitcher to be like, look, man, throw this. Then he goes back, shake off again. He comes out. Now a pitching coach is coming from the dugout to now talk to them. They're going to take as long as they need because now the umpire is going to make the walk to the mound to tell them break it up. And then they're going to walk back. And it's like, it's been 5 minutes and the same guys at the plate. The count is still 1-0. What are we doing here? That's what they're trying to get rid of. I mean, offense may come with it because some pitchers may get tired quicker from throwing pitchers faster. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see once the regular season happens and what the actual effect is. But I think for time of the game, I feel like a lot of the MLB writers and stuff are like, it's already paying off. Games are faster. That means it's more action going on. And let me see where I leave off. Okay, so David said 5 more seconds for pitchers. So, okay, so I guess it's David saying like he'd rather
25 and 20,
like 25 and 20 instead of 15 and 20. Okay, I mean, I'm sure there's probably opening to that based off of this year. Maybe they change the pitch clock next year based off of some data or something. And then David said, I'm not spending $15 for a burger for 2 hours of game and a $15 beer. Nah, the longer the game was, the more people spend at the same. Yeah, but
I mean,
Jordan, you brought up a good point too. It's like if you're watching Yankees Royals and the game takes 3.5 hours and you're like, I mean, the Royals aren't even good. I'm just sitting here spending money at a game.
All right, well, Anthony, I have some advice for you, man. Don't get the beer, man.
It's called tailgate.
You can't tell them not to get the beer.
You go and tailgate. That's what you do.
Burger's probably not that good to stadium anyway. I don't like at Yankee Stadium, like the bucket of fries and chicken is like $30, but it's good though. Got the garlic fries and fingers, chicken fingers. But I mean, yeah, no, I'm just joking with the Andy, but
well,
LOL. That means you're getting more than one now.
You get your burgers and your beer outside at the tailgate, and then you go in there and just watch the game.
Well, tailgate, I guess. Well, I thought tailgate was more for NFL. I guess you can tailgate before NFL.
Well, bring it to baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
MLB might as well arcade mode.
I mean, well, I don't think it's that far.
No, it ain't that bad.
I feel like for a league in MLB that's usually slow to innovation and trying something new, I feel like these changes are fine with me.
Yeah.
I like the larger bases because I think they also hope, stolen bases comes back into the game. I think what's really hurt baseball is these past few years where it's like, a guy can hit 215, hit 50 home runs, strike out 200 times, and people be like, that's a great year. It's like, no, it's not. Because it wasn't that long ago where we praised the guys who hit 300.
Right.
Or hit 320, may have hit 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. But now it seems like those guys are just like, oh, that's like your 6-7 hitter or something. But give me the guy who will hit 50. He may not reach base, like once every 2 games or so, but he'll at least hit a home run and we'll be like, wow, look how far that went. So I think they want to get back to, instead of being station to station baseball, now there's like first to third action. A little bloop hit to the right field, the guy's testing it from second base. Stuff like that. More excitement on the base path.
They didn't say with the pitch clock. How I guess it's easy. You don't or coach get like a mound visit because
I think that
pause the
rule's
clock.
Yeah, I
that
think you're
rule's
still gonna
been
have
in
that.
already. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
think
know that, but I'm saying
yeah.
as far as like incorporating that in with the clock, like does
I
it
gotcha,
is there one per not dry, that's NFL, one per inning, I guess. I don't know.
I'm
Like if
assuming
a
to keep it
pitcher
the way
slumps
it is.
in,
Like if you go to the mound multiple times an inning, then you're going against the number you have for the game. So you may not be able to go out there later in the game when it's needed. I heard back in the day games that, yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that stat too. It was like when baseball purists are like, oh, the game used to be so great before, and it's like the average time I think like in the 60s or something was like 2:15, 2.5 hours.
it's like 80s and 90s. It was still longer
Yeah,
than. I
yeah, yeah.
mean, it was like 2.5 hours at the most.
Right.
Because I was
So they're
always at
basically
Braves
they're
games.
basically
Yeah,
trying to go back to that
trying to get
instead
back
of where
to
it
it.
got to 3.5, 4. If you had extra innings, you could be there 5 hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel like that's where they're trying to get away from. I know Anthony and Cool put questions in the chat. I mean, we could probably may get through both of these. I'll throw Anthony's up there first because this one may not take as long to answer. NFL question: will the Colts move up to the number 1 pick and draft Richardson at number 1?
No.
I mean, the Bears have said they're leaning towards moving the pick.
It's the problem with that. If you jump up to pick Richardson at 1, that means you're sticking with Matt Ryan for another year as a Colts quarterback because Richardson is not ready to play.
Right.
If that's the Richardson I'm thinking of as Florida quarterback, he ain't ready. He needs to be on the bench for a year to get NFL prepared because they're going to be in the same spot that Chicago is actually in with the
Fields.
quarterback that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, you don't give up that much draft capital to go up and take somebody when you don't have Matt Ryan's a competent quarterback, but you're not winning with Matt Ryan.
Right.
So you jump into number 1 to take somebody to sit him on the bench for at least a year. Can't do it, especially not in that. You're in the AFC South, so you got an actual chance to win your division and make the playoffs. You can't waste the number 1 pick like that. Not a year for it. No, I don't think so.
I saw over the weekend like Richardson is shooting up draft boards. I was shocked to see that, but that kind of happens every year.
Well, yeah, it's draft time, so
Yeah.
it's the underwear Olympics. If you're looking for a quarterback, Richardson fits that prototype. He's what 6'3", 6'4", 250 something pounds, got a rocket arm, and can run like damn near Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he fits the build of what you would want as a quarterback. He looks like a better version of what Josh Allen would have been coming out of college.
Yeah.
But you saw Josh Allen coming out of college and wasn't ready to play pro ball that first year. Richardson's going to be the exact same way. He needs to sit down for a year and actually get ready to play.
I agree. Although Anthony says he's views Richardson like Hurts.
Well, Hurts, Josh Allen, same thing. They both had the same issue coming out of college. Not very accurate throwing the ball, but can run.
Right.
That's Richardson all day long.
Yeah. Bears looking to go after Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr., which I'm fine with that. When they had that talk about trading Fields and taking Young, I thought that was the dumbest thing I heard. When Tannenbaum floated that out there on First Take, I was like, that's why you're sitting there and not running a team anymore. Because if you thought Fields was the issue in Chicago, then clearly you didn't watch them play. The Bears have so many holes on that team that if you put Bryce Young there instead of Fields, he'd be running into the same issues his first couple of years. So you keep Fields, get draft capital, you get Carter or Anderson down at like, I don't know, you could probably go back to like 3 or 4 and get one of them because I'm assuming the Texans are taking a quarterback at 2. and then you work the draft board that way. It's
There's only
just build around
one.
Fields.
There's only one difference that you get with Young versus Fields, and Young is a more accurate passer of the football. So if that's the only thing you're worried about, then okay, yeah. But when when the field gets sloppy and it's cold outside, you need a big, strong quarterback that's gonna go make a play. Bryce Young is not your guy. So you're not really they're gonna end up doing themselves a disservice if they did try to go that route, because yeah, Young is accurate and he can throw the ball in the fall, but when winter comes and you playing in Chicago, if Justin Fields had a problem playing in Chicago in the winter, Bryce Young who's going to have a problem playing out there too.
Yeah, that definitely factors in for Chicago. Because I mean, for all the frustration that Cutler brought them, Cutler had a good arm. It was just that a lot of questions about him were his motor, his heart, his desire, and all that. Which I mean, that always was frustrating for me watching Cutler as well.
Yeah.
But Anthony Prom Houston might trade up to number one. Depends on who traded for Young will be gone, and Houston wanted Young. I mean, for Houston to be at 2 to move up to 1. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they really want Young, I guess you'd have to do that. But I mean, that kind of makes the Lovie Smith thing look even worse. The fact of
Yeah.
them winning that last game, they lost out on the number 1 pick, and they might have to actually trade draft capital to get up to 1 to get him. But I
No.
wouldn't do that.
And I can't even put that on Lovey. Lovey did his job. Just go out
I
there and win a
know. Yeah.
football game.
I'll just say, how people look at it as like, oh man, why would you win that game? We could have gotten the number 1 pick. I mean, they would definitely hate it if somebody jumped to 1, got Young, and the Texans were there.
Man, you know what a player would do if their head coach came in and said, "Hey, man, y'all go out here and lose this game so we
Yeah,
can be the worst franchise out here in the league, and all y'all can look bad and look like
right.
y'all don't want to come out here and play, and the other team's gonna see that and nobody else gonna want to sign you." It's like, bro, come on. If people really use some common sense when they start saying some stuff like that, there's
Mm-hmm.
no way a player is gonna be like, "Yeah, man, let's go lose this game for a number 1 draft pick." No.
Right. I'm kind of like that with Cool. Like if somebody really wanted to give up the stuff to get to 1 to get to Young, I don't feel like you can go wrong taking Stroud.
Right.
But I mean, if they have Young on their draft board like miles ahead of Stroud, then I would understand it. But I don't see that big of a gap that you need to do that to move up 1 spot to get Young. I
Man,
don't think
Bryce
so.
Young is good, but I don't see him being that good where I'm making a drastic move
Right.
to draft him. He's not, like I said, if Bryce Young was the size of Richardson, go right ahead. Yeah, you do whatever you got to do to get that guy. Get me a big quarterback that can move and is accurate. Yep, go ahead. But that ain't Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Like Bryce Young reminds me of like a unpolished like not Jalen Hurts because like they're kind of like the same.
Mm,
Well, as far as like that short Russell Wilson type quarterback who can be mobile and throw the ball. Bryce Young can throw the ball, but I'm saying is when he gets a right QB coach in the NFL and he can work.
See, that's not the problem. Bryce Young's problem is he's the size of Tua, to where if he get out there and take a hit, he's frail.
Mm-hmm.
That Jalen Hurts ain't frail. Jalen Hurts is 230. Bryce
But wasn't
Young
he
is like
frail when he hit
190
Alabama? Or,
pounds.
I feel like he got bigger in the NFL.
No, he was big in Bama. He was big in Oklahoma. He was squatting 500-600 pounds while he was at Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts is a big guy, so yeah, he can take a hit. Bryce Young got hurt in college taking a hit. He's frail. Like I say, I'm not jumping up to the number 1 or number 2 pick to draft a quarterback that's under 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it.
Anthony kind of agrees. Stroud is better than Young. Young got too many problems, short and underweight. And cool, if they have Young way above Stroud, somebody got some explaining to do. I kind of agree with that too. Well, let's get Cool's question up here. Who do you guys think is the best team in the Eastern Conference?
Has to be either the Celtics or Milwaukee.
I guess Cool's wanting you to make a decision. You gotta pick one of them.
See, for me, I'll take Milwaukee because they've done it before.
Okay.
I've seen Milwaukee recently win a championship. I have not seen the Celtics actually seal the deal yet. That's why I would not go with Boston until they actually beat the Bucks or beat Philly or whoever it is and win a championship. Okay, cool. But they hadn't done it yet, and it's been that same group that's been there for what 6 years now.
Yep. Yeah, it's been about 6 years.
So I've seen Milwaukee within that same time frame actually win a championship. So with pretty much the same core group. So I got to go with Milwaukee.
Suns would, if KD's healthy, the Suns would destroy the Celtics, man.
I wouldn't go that far either.
I wouldn't say destroy because I ain't seen the Suns close the deal neither.
Well, yeah, but I mean with KD, who knows?
Tatum can guard KD. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, but, I mean.
All right, so
yeah,
who are you picking, Jordan? Best team in the East.
I'm going with the Bucks. If Milwaukee can stay healthy, or not, I mean, if Giannis can stay healthy, I know he has he's dealing with that wrist, I think right now. If he can stay healthy, but then again, it relies on Chris Middleton. If he can stay consistent, he's always been out of the lineup. But I mean, I don't know. I'm like on the fence because like the Celtics, they have their, I mean, other than Marcus Smart, I think he's back, but I mean, and then Jaylen Brown with the whole mask, so he should be healthy by the playoff time. But that's tricky because like Giannis, if he can stay healthy, and then it's like Tatum, it's like they have their pieces. It's like what Brian said, they've had pieces for like quite a while. They haven't done really anything in the playoffs. Like, well, they have, but they have been bounced out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I mean, I think they have they did sign your boy Missoula to a long-term contract, or I guess for the season, I guess. So I mean,
no, they gave him an extension. They just haven't said how many years yet.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like with him in the locker room, he can maybe get him to the promised land. But until I see them advance like the advance, well they did get to the finals, but last year, but yeah, it's like they haven't shown me nothing in the playoffs as far as Well, like I won't say not made a deep run because they had made a deep run. They got to the finals, but with those same pieces, it's like okay, but maybe Malula can do something, turn them Bulls around in the playoffs. I don't know.
You know my answer.
I know you're a Celtics homer.
I'm not a Celtics homer. All right, I am not a Celtics homer. I am a realistic Celtics fan. I will tell you why I have them as the best team.
Do you have them go in the final?
Do I have them going to the finals? Yeah, but I know it's not going to be easy because Milwaukee. Anytime you have Giannis, I'm giving you a shot. That guy is, he's tough. He may not have the greatest jumper, but he seems to make a couple of game that are big shots, and you're just like respect it. I don't like Budenholzer, but I like their team. I like Giannis. I'm a big Drew Holiday guy. He seems to come up big in the playoffs. He might be more important to them than Middleton is at this point, to be honest with you. Portis, I mean, he looks like a psycho, but I like his game. I'm not a big Brook Lopez guy, but Brook Lopez has grown on me the past couple of years as well.
He's a stretch, definitely.
Right, but he's had some games where he kind of lives out there too long. But I understand it because he will also he'll post up at times when key situations. So they have a lot of depth, kind of like Boston. Boston, I will say, plays Giannis probably as tough as anybody because they just kind of throw bodies at him. They'll hit him. They'll force him on the line, which is what they kind of do with Embiid and guys like that. They are probably the team in the East I look at as the biggest threat to Boston. I mean, Miami's been there past couple of years, but Kyle Lowry, as long as Kyle Lowry's on there, I'm canceling them out. And then Philly, we've seen it. We've seen it in the playoffs with Philly. Like they go against Boston, Boston beats them. So it's Milwaukee or Boston. I'm going Boston as the best team in the East.
Yeah, like you had me rolling when you said Portis looks like a psycho. Then we had Brook Lopez.
Portis looks
half
crazy.
of the
He's got crazy eyes, man.
I've always
Yeah,
said
man.
like when Brooks and I think Robin Lopez, I think is his
Yeah.
brother. They look like there's like Geico characters back in the day. Those cavemen, the cavemen, yeah. But it's like, yeah. But I mean, they both kind of had that. As far as like, because when it comes to the playoff time, it's all about the starting five, but also the bench depth. So when it comes to like the depth, I might go with Celtics because they got Frank White, they got Pritchard. So it's like
I wouldn't even factor Pritchard, to be honest with you.
Like I said, man,
their bench is White.
Boston's
Brogdon.
team is always loaded. They just don't pull through in the clutch. So until I see him do it, I can't put my money on them. I got to go with the one I seen do it. The Bucks.
All right, so Anthony put Boston easy. I mean, I wouldn't even go that far. Like I said, Milwaukee is going to be tough. They'll be a tough out.
Mm-hmm.
But out of the East teams, Boston is the best equipped to beat Giannis. But finals Suns versus Boston. I mean, I guess I still say Denver's gonna have a lot to say about the West. I've been big on
Denver's
Denver
another
all year,
team.
but
I look at Denver just like Boston. You've had this squad rolling for the last 4 or 5 years, and playoff time, you lose your water. It's like, come on, man. I need you to. You got to get there, and then I'll start. I'll jump on. I ain't gonna jump on the bandwagon, but I'll be a believer once I actually see you do it. At least get to the finals.
Right.
Brian, who's your NBA team if you have one?
Hawks. I'm on Atlanta Hawks. Yeah.
Feel bad for you. I'm just kidding.
Hey man, I've been a realistic fan for all of my life. I root for them, but I'm not finna put no faith and no stock in that. I don't bet on no games, nothing like that. Nah, bro. I pay attention just because I'm a fan. That's it. Yeah. Other than that, nah.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah, buddy.
Denver had injuries the past 2
Jamal
seasons.
Murray.
Yeah, the Murray one was big for them.
But like Freddie said last night in the group chat, we talking about like Dame and not. He said, okay, you have MVP on your team, you should be able to make it. So there's no excuse. If Jamal Murray goes down, you got Joker.
I don't take Freddie's NBA takes seriously. No, I mean it is true. Injuries do happen. I just said for Denver because I've always said Porter Jr. is the key to that team. If he could make it through a season and the playoff run, I feel like Denver's that much tougher to get out, especially this year with the West. West has a lot of questions. Right. The Grizzlies think they're top of the world. They haven't done anything. I'm starting to really hate Memphis. I like Ja. Can't stand Dylan Brooks. I can't stand that dude, but
bro, I can't stand either one of them.
I mean,
I like Ja, but Dylan.
I like Ja on the court.
Nerves. Yeah, Ja got on my nerves, man. You've been hanging around Brooks too long.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks. Oh man,
Dylan Brooks just seems like that dude who just needs attention. So he just tries to pick fights with guys in the court. I don't care for it.
Jay and Murray were both out. I mean, yeah, but.
Man, cool. I agree with you. Murray and MPJ being out were big for that.
Yeah, they were big.
Squad. Yeah, I agree with that. Come on, second, third best players out, and you winning. I agree. I'm with you. I'm on your side, cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely on cool side, but I mean, to Freddie's point, okay, so what? You have MVP on your team, right? Go ahead, win a championship with Joker, man. That's Freddie's
gonna be the 3-time MVP. You got to give me a championship.
Warriors looking good without Curry. They're falling now.
Run might be up for a while.
He's not gonna fall.
They can't really fall much further. I mean, they're 12, 13.
12,
I mean,
not getting to the play-in.
Yeah. After that Memphis win, they didn't move up to like 10th or 9th or 7th.
They're in 12th.
They're in the 12th.
They're in the one spot. Yeah. I was saying the teams in front of them have to start losing if they're going to start jumping some of these teams.
Well, I think we
I'm
had
like Brett.
Freddie
Brett said they either better win 10 straight or lose 10 straight. This win a couple here, then lose a couple,
Well,
and they're back in
no,
the
we're
same.
like 4 games,
I,
4-1, I think. So we're on a roll.
I'm gonna need a bigger sample size.
Well, obviously, yeah.
'Cause you only got 20 games, man. That
Yeah,
means you got to win at least 15 in order to sniff the play in.
We can definitely do it because our schedule's down the stretch is a little easy.
y'all been losing to bad teams all year. That's not a guarantee. And with Mr. LeBron
Well,
talking
with
about on
the, but with
TV,
the
he
pe-
heard a pop in his
but with
foot.
the
I
pieces
don't know
we
what
had,
that means.
but with the pieces that we have now with Russell and
We're not doing this.
Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley, that dude's
We're
going
not doing
off,
this.
man.
Oh,
Okay.
God. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Oh, God.
Yes, sir.
You should have
We
been
might-
done it. That's my thing. Yeah, you
we
got
might-
LeBron and AD. You supposed to have been in it. So
80 was
I
hurt.
mean, that kind of goes to Cool's comment here.
exactly.
Lakers had the guy that everybody says the GOAT for about 5 years now. Y'all missed the playoffs a few years.
And we still got a ring in that time frame.
Man, that bubble. Oh, my
Oh,
God.
don't Brian, don't say that. That shit was valid, man.
Was it?
That
All
shit,
right. So,
yeah, because it was strictly
let me
pure
tell you a
basketball.
little story.
Yeah, come on, get
Here we
straight,
go.
Brian. No, get straight, man. Get straight
We
in
will
your chair,
stay
man.
on. There's nothing else
Let me-
going on. I got
Come
Let
on,
me
nothing.
tell
man.
you
Let's
my
go, brother.
biggest flaw with the bubble, and not
It was
just the
pure
bubble,
basketball, man.
that I can even go back to that Cleveland championship ring.
Okay.
If you look at the schedule for how the postseason went, you had a game that you played, one day off for travel. The very next day you had to play the next game. For whatever reason, the the NBA magically added a second rest day for that playoffs. I've never seen them do that. So if you had a game on Monday, you traveled Tuesday, you played Wednesday. For whatever reason, they had a game on Monday, traveled Tuesday, rest day on Wednesday, hey LeBron, and then you played on Thursday. I've never seen that happen before. Magically, LeBron is healthy and plays. He can run all 48 minutes now because they gave him an extra day, and he wins a championship in Cleveland. Yay, LeBron. Fast forward to the bubble. You give him in street clothes 2 months to rest up. Rest up, heal up. Okay,
The only season
Take a
AD's
break.
been relatively healthy.
the only season,
Yeah.
the only full playoff season that he's been healthy is because
I
he
know
had a
the
2-month
Facts
break
are just
in
killing
between.
you, Jordan. The facts are killing you, Jordan. I know it.
But
Go ahead, man.
Then he can magically come to the bubble healthy and looking like both of them 25 years old again, drinking Powerade, and they can just run all 48 minutes up and down the court. Yeah, you win a title. I'm glad they won. I'm glad that he actually won one, because if he wouldn't won it then, I don't think he's ever going to get one in LA. And what would be the narrative on LeBron then? Yeah, you won the scoring title, yay, but you never won nothing else in LA. Come on. But I'm glad you got it in the bubble,
But it's like when
because you
people
ain't did
say
it
it's
outside
like,
the bubble.
but like when people say it's like when people say the bubble was like that championship shouldn't be valid. I mean, there were so many other teams that could have won it. In that
Like I said,
Miami,
I'm not gonna tell you that it shouldn't be
Denver.
valid. It counts,
It
but
definitely counts.
it counts because you had to have 2 months rest before you went and played the
I mean,
playoffs.
you can't blame it on it was COVID that happened. You can't really blame the players on that. This is what it was.
I
It's
say
a
I don't
brutal
blame it on
AD
him.
and
He
a
got
guy in
lucky.
LeBron with a lot of miles on his body. Look
He
at
got
the
lucky.
season this year. LeBron's been missing games here and there.
His father's
He's
podcast.
had little injuries, but that's part of it. That's
Yeah.
why where everybody's like, "Oh, LA's a threat this year." It's like, in what way? You know, AD's gonna miss time unless he gets a break in the season.
If he gets
Yet
a break,
when AD misses time, people are like, "Man, why can't he stay healthy?" I don't know, because he's never been able to stay healthy.
he's never been able to stay healthy.
He's a big man who's had lower body injuries. That doesn't necessarily get better as you get older.
Nope.
This is
gets
going to
worse.
be AD every year. And LeBron, he's 38. Been playing since 18? That's a lot of miles on your body. He's just going to keep missing games. He's at the, periodically have rest days and load management and all that.
But see,
That's
that's
just
the
gonna
thing.
happen.
They can't afford to have no more rest days. You
Yeah,
got to play every single last one of these to get into the play-in tournament. Not make the playoffs, to get into the play-in tournament.
yeah.
That's the point. And that's why when people talk about the bubble, that's why the bubble mattered so much. And that's the only reason why I think that they won a championship is because you had the time off and you went and played in the bubble. Outside of that, what have the Lakers done? They've been trying to get into the play-in tournament. They're not a number one, not a number two, not a top 5 seed. They've been trying to get into the play-in. It is what it is.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, we're almost to an hour and a half show, so I don't want to like go much further. But I mean, well, I think the Lakers are trying to avoid maybe get to the sixth seed or sixth or seventh, whatever. Because I mean, other
they
than the
haven't even
Nuggets,
gotten into the top 10. You can't worry about 6 right now.
that's
You
not
got
that's
you
not
got to make sure you're in 10, because to get to 6, you got to tell me who from. Well, Denver, you're not catching Denver.
yeah. No
But
one's catching. No one's catching.
you
that.
need Memphis, Clippers, Dallas,
Which is
Phoenix. You
which
need
we
one of
beat.
those guys to fall out of the top 6. And then if one of them fall out, you can't have the Warriors replace them, who's out of the top 6 right now. You know,
The
the
Jazz,
the Thunder
Timberwolves.
have a really good team, and I think they have the easiest schedule down the stretch. Who's to say the Thunder don't sneak up in there? You never know. The teams that are between the Lakers and 6,
Like Portland,
there's
isn't
some.
Portland one or did they drop
Eh,
down?
Well, you
I
gotta
mean,
hope that
yeah,
you gotta hope that
Portland's in front
Zion
of.
doesn't come back because you got the Pelicans to deal with, even to
And when
jump over
Zion
them.
was there, they were a top 3 team in the West easily. So if
Yep.
he came back,
I think they're
they're
gonna
gonna
be.
shoot him.
Well, I think they're gonna be careful with Zion how he because he can't stay healthy.
Hey man, at a certain point, Zion needs to. I don't know. He needs to figure it out, whether it's slimming down, changing his offseason regimen, or something.
He's got to
Because he's
slim down, so that's
well.
all
I
it
mean,
is.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Barkley kind of told him, because Barkley was kind of in the same situation. He got to Philly. He was a little overweight. He said like Dr. J, Moses Malone was like, "Bruh, you're fat. Get lose some weight, otherwise you won't last in this league."
Yeah,
He said that was the biggest thing for his career. He slimmed down a little bit, and we saw those highlights. Like Barkley was legit.
Yeah,
He was 6'9", but he played bigger because
I don't
he,
even think he's 6'9".
I thought that was a lie too, but I think that's what they listed him at. He looked 6'7" to me, if
Yeah, he
that.
can't be no more than 6'7".
Yeah. So, but he would grab rebounds, outrun his man down the floor. He'd go up at the rim, dunk it on people, all because he lost a little bit of weight. Became more agile and all that. So Zion needs to figure it out now. Otherwise, he'll be so broken down by the time he probably figures it out that he'll be just a talent that got wasted.
Yep.
Because he couldn't take care of his body. And that Pelicans team has talent. If he ever stayed healthy, that'd be a dangerous team in the West. But
I mean, he had problems. He had problems back in Duke when he like blew his shoe.
yeah,
At Duke, so it's like that's where it all started.
But I mean, when he was a big kid in high school, like nobody cared because it was high school.
Yeah.
But you got to college and you're at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
That's another level. But now you're in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level.
And him signing with Mountain Dew ain't helping either because he's drinking all the Mountain Dews and playing with.
Hey man, you better cut it all out.
Only drink straight with lemon water, man. Lemon juice and water, man.
Lemon water and eat salad. That's it. Run up a hill with a tire on your back. I don't care what you do, man.
Well, actually, I would say like from like the year first he got hurt, and like in the offseason, he did kind of get he slimmed it down a little bit. I think I saw that picture. He was like kind of like a little more defined. But
I also saw that picture when it looked like he blew up a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like a blowfish, man. Like,
oh man.
Tell Eddie stop skipping leg workout.
So Anthony was like, "Where the bubble at?" Cool said the
Yeah,
break helped the Lakers the most
it was
in
in
the
Florida,
bubble
right?
season. Mm-hmm.
It was at the
Yeah.
Orlando ESPN, I think.
That Disney like Wild World of
World of
Sports.
Sports. Yeah.
That complex. It's
Yeah,
actually
I
a
mean
nice
that's pretty.
complex.
Yeah, it was nice. I've been there for my cousin's AE tournament. That's pretty cool.
Remember when Lou Williams left to get some wings and God, that was so stupid.
Magic,
That was a good
Magic
one.
something.
Yeah, went to Magic City for the wings.
For the
Okay,
wings,
buddy. Because David put because LeBron is hurt right now. Because I saw someone put in our chat that the Lakers fear
cool.
LeBron might miss significant time.
Cool with the blowfish movie, bro.
Jordan tell AD stop skipping leg workout. Blowfish and
Blowfish Blowfish Zion, man.
hey man, while Lakers won the bubble in Disney
Lemon Pepper
World.
Lou. Lemon Pepper Lou, bro.
I actually started. I thought that was the hilarious
Oh,
nickname.
man.
It was so stupid.
Yeah, he's there for them hot wings, right?
Yeah. Because they don't have any wings
I mean,
in Florida.
I mean,
He had to go
apparently,
to Atlanta to Magic City.
Wait. It was in Atlanta, or was it? I thought it was in Orlando somewhere.
The
No,
bubble
he
was
left
in
the
Orlando,
bubble,
but he
went to
left
Atlanta.
Orlando.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Magic
For
City
the
was
wings.
in Orlando. Oh,
No,
okay.
Nah,
it's in
he
Atlanta,
he
buddy.
went back home to Atlanta. Yeah,
He flew for some hot wings. I see.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because we were all buying that story.
Lemon Pepper Lou.
Yeah, maybe there's a dancer called Wings. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do the wing. Do the wing.
It was so because wasn't he on the Clippers or something? I think he might have been on the Clippers, and I was just like, so you
ATL, shawty.
Yep.
Yo, I bet Cole was right there with them eating them wings, man.
These NBA players are funny like that, man. But I mean, you get close to an hour and a half, so we can probably end it there. But I mean, good topics from the chat. Cool brought up his blowfish, but yeah. So I mean, that's another show in the book with no Gene. Hopefully, he'll be back next week. Like I said, he was taking care of some stuff. But we went on without him. Had a good show. Brian, Jordan, either of you have final thoughts before we get out of here? I mean, I bet they do.
I bet they
That's
do.
That's definitely not the only reason why.
That's the last word right there. That is the last word.
Lot,
we can end it on that.
A lot of sauce, man. Oh man. Yo, cool. Lou got that spicy Asian Thai sauce, man. All right, with that,
no. That's it. That's it.
We have done. By the way, man,
we do have that trivia this Saturday, brother. Me and you, man.
Actually, that's a good point. We need to bring that up. Yeah, so we have a trivia show now on the network. The first episode was last week. Make sure you guys tune into it. Got some interesting pairings, like Jordan says, he and Cool. I'm in it with Cottrell. Brian's not in it. Maybe season 2, Brian. Maybe.
Are you in this one Saturday, Kyle?
No, I don't know who you're going up against.
But... No, one thing. Are you doing it this Saturday with your partner, like with your guy?
I think Cottrell and I are either next week or the week after, I believe. I mean, hey, you got a couple of days to figure that out.
I'm apologizing now.
But yeah, so nothing else to say. Like I said, nothing else I got to add either. So that's another Cheap Seats podcast episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, know what to do. Hit the like button. Also subscribe to the network because a lot of great shows on here, a lot of great people. Also notification bell, that way whenever one of our shows go live, you'll get notified. But until next week, we're here every Monday, 7 o'clock. So make sure you guys come back, get in the chat, because chat definitely lit up after a little bit. Would like to see you guys back here next week. So thanks again, and we're out. Have a good night, everybody.